Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. Alright my friends, today I am bringing you some lovely recommendations for Alpha-Mellows, okay? So if you don't know what this is, it's a cross between what you would call like a marshmallow hero and an alpha hero, okay? And that differs from an alpha whole, and it's a little more along the lines of like a cinnamon roll hero, but it's like you're putting them together, okay? So my bookish big sis Crystal from Crystal's Bookish Life has made a few videos recommending these before, but I actually couldn't find anyone else's videos that were specific about this, which is, I mean, I even thought I had made one before, and I haven't made this video in all the years that I've been doing romance recs, and that is a shame. And one of my Instagram friends actually recommended this. I don't remember who recommended it, but they put it in a question box. I asked if there were some videos people wanted to see, and they asked for Alpha-Mellows. So the best way to kind of describe it is it's a hero that has all of the trademarks of being possessive, obsessive, but he also is just very sweet with the heroine. And so when you have an alpha whole, he has all those alpha qualities, and he starts out as like an asshole for a good chunk of the book, and it's only like slowly that he softens for the heroine. In these cases, the hero is kind of immediately soft for the heroine, but is still an alpha. I do have, I think, one of these that is like right on the line in my opinion of being an alpha whole versus an Alpha-Mellow, but that really has to do with the kind of job he's in, that he has to put forth a bit of a harsher vibe, you know. But yeah, all of these are alpha possessive. They would literally lie across the coals for the heroine, but they also are just so soft and squishy, like straight up to her face. Like it isn't behind her back, it isn't, you know, in his head he's only soft. Like he is soft to her, and he's an alpha. Like that's kind of where it crosses, right? Whereas again, if you have an alpha whole, I still find them very, you know, there's plenty of alpha wholes I like too, but they more stay kind of like crusty the whole time, and the heroine slowly chips away at it. Whereas with these heroes, you'll see they're kind of soft and squishy for the heroine right from the start. So anyway, this can be called other things. Like I said, it can be an alpha cinnamon roll, whatever, but I really like the term Alpha-Mellow, and that's the term that like Crystal has used before, so that's what I'm going to use today. Okay? All right, let's get into it with one that kind of inspired me to do this, because I just finished reading this book, and it is Hooked on You by Nikki Ash. And this is a billionaire romance. He works for Kingston Limited, which is a whiskey company, and he has a daughter who's just barely over a year old. And in the prologue, we actually see his wife, who, if you read the first book in the series, Drunk on You, we kind of saw what was happening to Ryder in the background, that this woman he was just casually dating, she got pregnant, and then she had a miscarriage before they were going to get married, and then he was only going to marry her because of the baby anyway. And in my opinion, I don't know that she was even pregnant that first time. It's never confirmed in this book if she really was pregnant or she was trying to trick him, but then she does get pregnant on purpose again. So she gets what she wants, she marries him, has his baby, and she hates being a mother. Like she hates being there. She doesn't feel like she gets what she wanted out of their relationship, and so he basically buys her off in the beginning. So that's the prologue of this book. Then we have Kira, who she has an almost 5-year-old daughter, and she's a woman on the run. She had to run from her abusive husband, and she ends up in a situation where she becomes a like caregiver at Kingston Limited. They have a daycare there, and she gets hired to be there, and one of the little kids that she is watching is Ryder's daughter. And not too long into her working there, Ryder actually discovers that her and her daughter are sleeping in their SUV in the parking structure of the building, and he just hates to see that. So he actually invites her into his home, and he actually makes her his personal like nanny for his daughter, you know, and he can watch both of their daughters together, which I think is just beautiful. So this guy absolutely to me has that Alpha-Mellow, because he is so alpha. He's so like commanding in the fact of like, no, I'm not going to let you be in this situation. It doesn't matter. Like, if you're worried or if you're feeling anxious about that, like, you need to be safe. I want you and your daughter to be safe, and I'm bringing you in. He's also very much doesn't like play around once he has feelings for her. He tells her pretty much immediately, and he's like, I want this to be more than you just being my nanny. I want to move us towards something else. So to me, those are qualities of him that make him an alpha, that make him like I said, he's not wishy-washy. He's not unsure or scared. He knows what he wants, and he very quickly is like, you're the one that I've been looking for, and they go for it. And I love that about him. Next up, we have Reese Winterborn from Marrying Winterborn. This one is one I think a lot of people will recommend. A lot of people actually will recommend Lisa Kleypas heroes because there are quite a few of them that she writes very alpha men, and they're very like ruthless, and then they come up against a heroine that they just melt into a little puddle for her. And that's really what happens in this book as well. This book, though I don't really care for Cold Hearted Rake, I know a lot of people don't. To me, it's one of the weaker Lisa Kleypas that I've read, but it does kind of set up Helen and Winterborn and what was going on. So Winterborn owns a department store. He's kind of like, you know, in on like what a mall would be basically at this time, and he like owns it, and so he's very wealthy. He's like billionaire type, and he wants to marry Helen Ravenel. And she is just so beautiful, so delicate, everything he loves about her. And he is Welsh, and he's considered, you know, a made man and, you know, dirty new money, all that stuff. And so him being able to catch a girl as delicate and beautiful and sweet and from a like good family standing is very like intriguing to him. He also just thinks that she's so precious. He really does. Well, some things go badly, like I said in that first book, and Helen ends up having where she's sick, and while she's sick, their engagement gets like broken up without her having a say in it. And she's always been a very like demure, very like quiet woman who was, I mean, she wasn't a pushover, but she also was just doesn't have to be the loudest woman in the room. And that has led her to maybe not put her voice out there for what she wants. But at the beginning of this book, she goes to see Reese, and she is like, I don't release you from our engagement. You broke this engagement without me having a say, and I don't accept that. Like, I don't accept it. And he's like, no, you know, you were too good for me. I was never going to be able to have you. And she kind of demands that they make it happen. And so in turn, he demands that she let him like ruin her so that she won't go back on their arrangement this time. And she's like, I wasn't the one who went back on it in the first place. Of course I will. So they end up having a bit of a tryst before they're married type of situation to appease him and everything. Now, Reese is absolutely just so ooey gooey inside for her. I just love it. He is calling her pet names like right from the beginning, and just the more he gets to know her too, he realizes that she's more than just the soft gooey, he's soft and gooey. He realized she's more than just the delicate, quiet woman that he thought he was getting, and he loves her even more. And I just love that about him so much. Okay, then I have Hans. Now, to me, I really could have picked pretty much any book in this series from her, from S.J. Tilley, but I feel like this one fits it the most because there's just some things about Hans that he's so into Cassie right away. And so, like in this one, she is neighbors with him. He is a hitman, like an undercover hitman type guy, and she becomes his like neighbor. And so she delivers baked goods to his front porch. Though he never answers the door, he will return the containers with the food eaten. It's absolutely awful food. She never has to see him eat it, but he still eats every bite because he would never throw away something that she made for him. It's just so cute. So then too, he accidentally receives a package that was meant for her, and it happens to have, like she had done a boudoir photo shoot just for herself. And once he sees those pictures, now he's like, all these feelings he's been having for her, all of that like pent up desire for her, he just can't hold it back anymore once he gets a look at her. And even though it could be kind of dangerous for her, he can't stop watching her. He's obsessed with her. And he's just so sweet with her. I love it so much. Whereas some of the other guys in the series, like, they are also very protective and obsessive, but they're a bit more on the asshole side. Like, Hans was just so sweet with her right from the beginning. Even though he has this very dangerous job and he's a very powerful man, he's just so sweet for Cassie all the way through. I love it. Okay, now we have the one that I said is the closest to possibly being more of an alpha hole. However, he only really is that for like a little bit, and then he's a complete Alpha-Mellow in my opinion. So that we have is Histo by Amelia Rossi. Now this is one I've been sharing a lot lately, also because I just fucking love this cover. Oh, this book is so pretty. But this is the one that we have a heroine who is in a wheelchair. She has a disability where she can't always walk well. She gets tired pretty easily, and then sometimes she has flare-ups where she's in a lot of pain and she can't walk. And our hero is, they get married in a mafia deal. He did not know that she was in a wheelchair. And again, not that he would have like been mad about it, but he also was like, why would her father lie to me about that when like I could have made my home ready for her, like all these things, because he's marrying her for the alliance. Nothing to do really with, you know, wanting to be married or wanting to have kids or any of those things. He really is only wanting the marriage for political things. So he's planning to marry her and then like leave her alone. And so he marries her, brings her home, and his plan is to kind of just ignore her. And so that's why I say is like, he's not outright like cruel to her in the beginning of this, but he does just like ignore her. And it's only through like little things of like, he sees her like baking in his house and he's curious about what her disability is. And he's, you know, finding all these little things about her, and he just is drawn into her more and more. And then when they like kiss for the first time, all of it just like explodes, and then he just becomes the absolute sweetest guy. Like, this is another one too where like the heroine cooks and bakes and he doesn't want anyone else to get her sweets, but she's a good cook, baker at least. He buys her a dog. He just does all these things. He researches the most comfortable ways to like have sex with the disability she has, which I mean, that's just good research to do. But just everything he does in care for her is so, just, he pays attention to so much. That does make the third act conflict in this one a little bit difficult to stomach because it seems so out of character for what we've seen before. But I'll say it, I said it before, I'll say it again. This book just wiggled its way into my heart so much for how he treats her and how her disability is handled that I don't care about the third act in this one. I'll just ignore it. I really don't care because this book was so good to me for that. But just warning you, because I know there's a few people even watching this who the third act like really bugged them. And I mean, it's not that it doesn't bug me. I just like what's going on more than I was hurt by the third act. Okay. Then we have Hideway Heart by Melanie Harlow. This is the third book in the Cherry Tree Harbor series. And this one is about, this one is Xander and Kelly, and she is trying to have a like vacation away. So she's a pop star, she's a country music star, and she wants to take this 2-week break and not have to deal with any of that. And so she gets this little cabin she's planning to stay in. Now, she doesn't like want to hire any security, but her brother is like, no, you have to have protection. Don't be stupid. And so he calls in a favor with his friend Xander, who is an ex-Navy SEAL, and calls him in to be her protection for the 2 weeks. And so sure enough, he shows up at this cabin to protect her, and Kelly just like does not want him there. She tries to like stone him out, and he's like, honey, I'm doing this favor for your brother. I owe him one. I'm not leaving. Get used to it. So there's a little bit of him pushing her buttons there, but they have this great kind of like back and forth in here. And very soon she agrees. She's like, okay, let's make this work. And I just love, I mean, obviously it's a bodyguard romance. He's going to be protective. That's his whole job. But the way that they get to know each other, and the way that he listens to what her dreams are and where she hopes her career will go, and the way that she listens to him too. This goes both ways. Like, he has dreams as well that he's like put aside, you know, for his career in the military and where things have went. and he has dreams he wants to do too. So I loved seeing where that went. But yeah, love this series so much. It's so good. Okay, now I had to throw in this one because I definitely think it fits so well. So there's Soul Eater by Lily Mayne. Now, I think that Win is an Alpha-Mellow because the way he's obsessed with Danny and wants to care for him. I also put this book, I know I bring this book up all the time, but you should read it. It's so sweet. It's so good. It's one of just the best like fantasy paranormal couples. Like I just love Danny and Win so much. This is an MM monster romance, by the way. And I had put this in a daddy video recently too, because I just felt like they don't, like, Win isn't like called daddy by him at all, by Danny at all, but he feels like one in the way he cares for him. And that's why I think he's an Alpha-Mellow as well. So Win, he's this very scary being that is called the Soul Eater. And Danny ends up entangled with him, and they end up traveling across the dangerous dystopian landscape together. And Win, he is drawn to Danny, and he can't seem to want to leave him, and soon sexual attraction starts between them. And now like Win would do literally anything to protect Danny. It's just so good. And I don't know, he's definitely a big grump, but for Danny he will just turn into a puddle of goo, and I appreciate that in a hero so much. So that's why we're putting that on there. Another paranormal fantasy I'll throw in for you, because I would be remiss if I didn't share this one, is Grimm and Barrett by Juliet Cross. Always have to have my Juliet on here somewhere, right? So I picked this one because I think Henry is maybe like, you know, I literally could pick the first one as well, because literally Alpha and Mateo are a really good example of the Alpha-Mellow, but I picked Henry because he's definitely someone who's been very quiet, very much kept to himself. But right from the beginning, the first time that Clara and Henry meet, like, number one, like, we know they're fated mates because that's what this series is. But the way that he loves her, the way that he is trying to make himself good to be with her. He's very nervous about his grim powers, if he'll be able to be with her. He's saved himself for her because, you know, not only is he a virgin just because he's scared of, if he'd been with a woman, like if he would hurt them with his grim powers or whatever, but once he meets Clara, he knows that she's the one for him, even though he isn't sure if he can have her. So he's like saving himself for that. And I love that. Okay, like I love to see that for sure. So yeah, I absolutely love these two. This is a slow burn. As I said, it's a fated mates. I don't quite know, like I feel like it's friends to lovers, but also not, because they don't spend a lot of time together until they're actually like gonna be together. But like he joins her historical romance book club together, and funny enough, this book, which is actually mentions marrying Winterborn in it, because there's a book club that they're reading historical romances in. So it's pretty exciting. Love it. Okay, then I wrote down, this was funny, while I was making my list, instead of writing Outlander, I just wrote Jamie Fraser by Diana Gabaldon. So I think that Jamie Fraser is absolutely an Alpha-Mellow, completely, because this man, he is the men of men, he's the king of men, he is this Highlander who can handle anything. He gets put through the whole spectrum of it all throughout the Outlander series, but he still has such a tender heart and a loving spot for not only his wife, but for his family members and for those under his protection. He would face anything to protect them. He would face down the British government, he would face down an army, he would face down a bear, he would face down, you know, a crowd that's looking to, let's say, burn his wife alive. He will face anything for his love. And what I so deeply love about this series can't be summed up in a quick little recommendation, but the thing that endures through all the years and what brings me back to this and what keeps me recommending it to you guys, and I will until I'm blue in the face, till I'm cold in the grave, is the enduring love between Jamie and Claire and the family that they build through that love. It's here. But Jamie Fraser is absolutely on my Alpha-Mellow list. He belongs there forever. He's amazing. Okay? It's so good. Okay, then I grabbed the wrong book, so I'll hold it. I saw someone suggest Mile High for this, and I definitely agree, because this is one of our heroes, definitely like a playboy. He's a bit of a bad boy, has a bad reputation, and he's very interested in one of the flight attendants who works for his basketball team. Wait, he is the hockey team, sorry, for the hockey team. And he is flirting with her right away. Now, the flight attendants are not supposed to be dating or hooking up with the players that they fly around, so she's definitely keeping her distance. She also knows that he's a player, and she's just so not interested in that. After a relationship she was in before, she just doesn't want that at all. But Z goes around proving that he's the one for her. He is ready to prove that he is serious about her and that he wants her real bad. Okay, he wants her real bad. And I think that he fits that, because he's definitely very alpha, very protective, but he is so like, he's that guy that's like, I'll buy you that person every single color. Let me buy all the food, all the flowers, all the things you want. Like, let me take care of you, baby. He's ready to be a sugar daddy, I'll tell you that. He's ready to be a sugar daddy at a moment's notice, for sure. And he's just so charming, too. He's just so charming. He's that charming playboy type that you just love. And I think he fits in Alpha-Mellow pretty good, for sure. And then the last one I want to share is definitely Elliot from P.S. You're Intolerable. Yes, we can't go long without mentioning this book. And I think that Elliot fits it very well, because Elliot, he's a very stoic type of hero. He keeps all of his emotions inside. He is very quiet. He's the more thoughtful one of the friend group, for sure. He grew up very fast because he was taking care of his younger sister for a good part of his life. Their dad died young. The mother had mental health issues. So he really stepped up to be the guardian for his younger sister. And in this book, it's him falling in love with Catherine, who is his personal assistant, and she's pregnant when she gets hired for the job. He doesn't know that. She doesn't have to disclose that. But when it's time for her to actually go on her maternity leave, he starts to panic because he realizes that she's become such an integral part of his life. He doesn't know what he'll do without her. And when he goes to visit her before her maternity leave is over, he discovers that she's in a bit of a tight place. And without hesitation at all, he invites her into his home to give her a safe place. And once she's living in his home and he's spending more time around her, it becomes very clear to him that she's the one that he wants. And he's going to prove it to her. However he has to. He's going to prove it to her that he loves her and he loves her child. And he will just move any obstacle, move any mountain, assure her of any doubt she has. And I just love him, and I think he fits in Alpha-Mellow very well, because he definitely is that billionaire alpha boss who is totally in control. But when it comes to Catherine and Joey, he would give it all up. And that's what we love to see. We love to see it. So there you go, my friends. Those are 10 Alpha-Mellow heroes. If you're seeing kind of the theme that I'm going with this, how this sets out, please give me your favorite Alpha-Mellows. Again, if I remember to, I'll have linked Crystal's video about these. She made one a couple years ago. Maybe if we ask her nicely, she'll do an updated one for us. So yeah, thank you for watching, friends, and we'll see you next time. Bye.